Hello. Hello, hello. It's me, Barb. And I'm just doing some testing because we have a small issue that I'm trying to iron out. So I'm just going to just play around and see if I can cause the problem to happen. Anyway, welcome. Okay, maybe I'll do this so you can see me. Hello. Something. Yes. It's a good day to create, don't you think? Welcome, everybody. So we're just gonna play because I'm just watching things to see how things are looking. So if you see me looking in all kinds of weird directions, it's because I am. That is so weird. That says I'm offline. You guys are clearly seeing me. Electronics and computers and all that. It's craziness, I'm telling you, it's craziness. Anyway, I've already been on the phone with the technical department, who of course is out of town. So I've been trying to troubleshoot on my own. We all know this doesn't go well. Barb troubleshooting on her own never goes well. As I tell him, I'm teachable and I can learn and I can run anything. But the figuring it out, I'm not so sharp on that. I'm not so sharp on that one. Anyway, okay. So, it's great to see you guys. It's great to see you guys here. Welcome. It's funny, let's see. Let me try this again. Hold on a minute. I'm just looking at I'm looking at something, so give me a second, you guys. Give me a second. It's so weird, I'm telling you. I'm looking at something on my computer. There we go. All right. Okay. Just very weird. It says on the screen that I monitor that I'm offline, which makes no sense at all because I can see me broadcasting. Anyway, this, in case you are here for a show, my regularly scheduled show, this is not it. This is just simply for testing purposes. And so I'm going to just play around. So you guys can be here. You can chat amongst yourselves. If you have questions, this is going to be just super informal. And I have these things that I showed in my last show, and I thought we will just kind of play with them. I have some paints, some new paint that I bought, just a few colors. And so I'm going to play around with that, and we'll just see what happens, because what I'm doing is just testing the whole system. So anyway, I'm glad you guys see me. It's just so weird because my monitoring screen says I'm offline, but yet I see the picture moving. So who knows? Hello, Linda McAllister. So how many people are here? Because I can't see that either. Hi, Patricia. We got two Patricias in the house. Malia, Cindy, Mickey. Clausman's in the house. Shauna. Hi, Dorothy. Lisa, Michelle, Joy, Claudette. Oh, I can see some new names. Hi, Donna. New names that I haven't seen before. Sharon, Linda, Chris. Oh, Chris, thank you so much. Angela, Tori. Hey, Tori. K Moore is Karen, I believe. Angela, Lisa. So hopefully I said hello to everyone. Yeah. 47. 47 desperate people. That's what I have to say, because you're here for just seeing what happens. Okay, so here we go. Let's crack these out and see what happens. So these are the mixed media mixed media origins mini art. If I still have, yeah, that's good. Okay, so as I said, I'm just playing around. This is not going to be one of those supposedly professional shows, folks. This is not. Travis, hey! The bell notified you and you dropped everything. Travis, you must be desperate. So anyway, these are the Mixed Media Origins mini art. They are from Tattered Angels. Okay, Tattered Angels. And it's an interesting kind of paper stuff. It's not quite watercolor paper. It's just a weird kind of paper. I'll show you. This is the same kind of paper. Okay, this is the same kind of paper here that I've made these traveler's notebook, traveler's insert kind of notebooks out of. So that's what these are. It's the same thing. This was just in a 12 by 12. And so they came out with them in different size sheets. So I've done a lot of them. This was like and the reason it's got words on the front of this one is because I needed to be able to tell what was the front, because it didn't have any discernible image on it. But this is the same kind of thing. This was leftover from some other project, so I made a notebook out of it. Anyway, this is the same kind of stuff. But they came out with them in the different sizes, so I thought, well, we'll play around with those and see what happens. Zooming. Oh, hello, everyone. Hi, Monique. Hey, CB. River City, tell me again what your name is, because I've forgotten already. It's probably written down, but I don't know where my sheet is. Hi, Anna. Sorry, I'm just looking at who all is here. River City, I cannot remember your name. Barb's just have fun. That's right. Annette, hello. I'll try to be soothing, Annette. I'll try. It's really cool paper. It really is. We have another Karen in the house. Hello. Two Karens in the house. It's a surprise, CB. I know. Deborah. River City is Deborah. I'm telling you, I got to write that down. I'm not sure I do have that on my list. I got to write that down. I'm going to try to remember. If my pen would write, that'd be handy, wouldn't it? Sometimes pens are worthless, you know what I mean? Hi, Lori. I don't have to try to be soothing. I'm a natural. That could mean a lot of things. I could translate into boring. I try not to be boring. I really do. But my natural thing is kind of chill. That's kind of my natural way of being. And sometimes that can get a little, yeah. Anyway, Okay, so let's play with this, shall we? So as I was saying, these are the mixed media watercolors. They're mixed. It's a weird mixed media kind of paper. It's not quite watercolor. It's not quite anything that I could really describe it as. It's different than cardstock. It's just different than whatever. So I have a couple of other pieces of it. I like this stuff. I like to use it for different things. So anyway, let's play with it. The paints that I am going to mess around with are, these are the Martha Stewart soft, okay, this doesn't make any sense to me, but that's just my own personal problem. Martha Stewart Crafts Soft Gel Watercolor Acrylic Craft Paint. Okay, I believe this is an oxymoron in my opinion. Soft Gel Watercolor Acrylic Craft Paint makes no sense to me. That doesn't make any sense. And so I was thinking that Martha Stewart, you know, that the Martha Stewart brand was really strange until I realized that Folk Art had come out with a similar thing, watercolor acrylic paint. I haven't done enough research on this to know what the deal is with this. And so, but I do know I've used these enough that they are a very odd consistency. In fact, hang on a second. I will show you something I did with them. This is probably my favorite journal page that I've probably ever done. I don't know, that's not true. I enjoy all of them when I'm doing them. This is probably my favorite art journal page to date. And I get myself out of the picture, but then I'm afraid I can't come back because of the issue I got going on here. So you're just going to have to put up with me in the picture and the art journal page. I'll move it around. This is that super old 1939 ledger, which is in terrible shape, but I was determined to turn it into an art journal, and it's slowly going. It's going its own direction. As you can see over here, it's no longer, you know, straight with the world. It's going its own direction, but I think I love it more because of that. But anyway, this page is done exclusively with the Martha Stewart watercolor acrylic craft paints. It has a distinctly watercolor look about it. You know, and I did it specifically because I wanted to see if I could make it. I'm not a watercolor person, so I really wanted to see what they would do, and I loved the effect. So this is the Martha Stewart stuff, and you love old ledgers? Yeah, I do too. It's just weird. It's just odd working with it because the page, the paper is so fragile, you know? Like, if I look at this wrong, it starts coming apart, you know, literally. It's so old. This paper is so old. And I've removed a bunch of the pages. I'm having to reinforce the spine all the time. But look at that. Isn't that cool? So, of course, I've saved all the papers, you know, that I've taken out of it. Yeah, but anyway, isn't it a neat old book? Anyway, I love that page. So, because I love the paint, but I really don't know how to use it. So, we're going to just play and see what happens. So, I have a palette, which I'm going to put off to the side here. Hello, Black Kitten Lorraine. Good to see you. Hi, Maria. Oh, there's a bunch of people I didn't see. Travis says, does watercolor mean the paint has less pigment? I don't know. I really don't know. It's a very odd, sorry, looking at the wrong camera. It's a very odd consistency paint. You'll see that in a second. Hi, Jill. You like the butterfly page? I do too. It's probably my favorite. Well, I should show you. I'll show you. There's a couple butterfly pages in here. What I've done in here in this journal, this is from the How to Get Creative member site. And what's in here is, this art journal I started with them, and they just get to just look over my shoulder when I'm doing art journaling. So that's what this is all about. So let's see. I have a couple of, so everything that you see in here, and some of these are failed experiments, you know. I still love the page, but, you know, that was not my brightest moment. I do have those. All right, here's one of the butterfly pages. I really love this one. This is my butterfly story. So during this particular episode, I told the butterfly story. So I love that one. I love them all. There's not a page I don't fall in love with, to tell you the truth. But this one I particularly love. These were butterflies that Jan, Lady True North, sent me. And so I did really had fun with those. This is my least favorite page to date, but it's growing on me. You know, it's growing on me. It's just too damn busy. That's okay. Anyway, so yeah, butterflies. Do you want to see butterflies, people? You want to see butterflies? Okay. This is my latest fabric piece. And so she is a class and on the website, going to be. She's not there yet. But anyway, those are some serious butterflies. Yeah. Those are some serious butterflies. Hi, Rosemary. Rosemary says the advantage to this paint that I'm showing you is it's supposed to be that you get the watercolor look and it's permanent like acrylic, which is what I assumed, honestly. But yeah, it's kind of weird paint. I know. I like her too. Hi, Adi Dell. This fabric is painted fabric. It is cotton, but it's been painted and then stitched. Yeah. Anyway, she's upcoming class. Just finished her. And I have to say, I am in love with her. I am totally in love with that piece. Okay, let's go back to these, shall we? I know. You like my art journal pages? Oh, thanks. Hi, Shu. Hi, Carla. Boy, you guys are you guys are desperate. I'm telling you, you're desperate. All right, let's see what happens. So anyway, this whole basket here, this is all the same kind of paint, the watercolor acrylic craft paint, which again, I can say it every single time, makes no sense to me. That's all right. Not everything is required to make sense to me. Oh, there you just, I'm telling you, Lorraine, hang around with me. I'm going to have you sewing. I'm going to have you sewing. One of my VIP members on the website didn't sew. And so she ended up, before long, she fell in love with the whole thing. And so she ended up buying a small machine, and that didn't do what she wanted. So she bought a bigger machine. If she shows up, she'll confess. Hey, Nancy. You didn't miss so much. I haven't done anything yet. Absolutely nothing except Twitter on, well, you know, so to speak. Okay. Where was I? All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just put out some colors here and we'll just play with them. Actually, I'm going to try these because I have not used the folk art ones at all. So let's try these. There is the strangest consistency paint. Yeah, the strangest consistency of paint. So let's see if I can get this where you guys can see. All right, so it is so weird. I'll zoom in here in a minute because I can. The camera's part of this whole operation and the computer are working beautifully. It's just we have a hitch in the get along somewhere, so to speak, that we're trying to identify. It's an intermittent, goofy kind of issue. Not your problem. And so I'm having a moment now and then where it's like, okay, what is going on here? Well, Who knows? Okay, so that one color was called light purple. So I'm going to squirt these out on the palette, and then I'm going to zoom in so you can see the consistency of this stuff. This is pastel turquoise. Okay. I'm telling you, it looks like a weird cottage cheese kind of thing. This is gray. Who wants gray on this? I don't. So we're going to add a Martha Stewart color because I have green in the Martha Stewart. Might need to use a little gray actually with the green. This is the Martha Stewart one, and this color is green pepper. She's the only one that puts her color names on the back of the company. She doesn't do anything to it. Anyway, they put it on the back of the bottles. Let's add a little bit of gray actually, because you might want to tone that down a little bit. Hey, Marion. On the widescreen TV, I'm pixelated. I can't help you with that. I don't I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so we got that. And let's put out some let's use some of that brown color or goldish color. This is ochre. Hey, Debbie. You have 2 sewing machines, Lorraine. Good for you. Hey, Dar. And anybody else I missed? Yeah, Nancy, it is. This, from what I can tell, the folk art is also a watercolor acrylic craft paint, and so is the Martha Stewart stuff that's in this basket. $2.49 is what I paid for that. I don't know what I paid for the other ones, the Martha Stewart stuff. Anyway, okay, so there's the colors I have out at the moment. All right, I'm going to go in as close as I can for you to be able to see. That might be a little close. Okay, see the consistency of that? Is that just weird or what? This is the folk art stuff. That's the folk art stuff. That's weird. That's Martha Stewart. The green is Martha Stewart. This is folk art here, the gray. And this one, once I get back to where it'll focus, this is Martha Stewart. Folk art. It's a very odd consistency paint. Just saying. Very odd consistency. All right, so I'm going to make you guys crazy going in and out until I find the right place. I know, it looks spoiled. That's right. It does. It's just weird. Those I got, all of those, the Martha Stewart ones came from Michael's. So these came from Michael's. I have not seen those anywhere else. Locally, I only have Michael's and Hobby Lobby. So this was from Michael's. I know that for a fact. The folk art ones came from Hobby Lobby. So Michael's, Hobby Lobby. For what it's worth. All right, let's get some paper towels. Hi, Lori Lou. Hi, Michelle. They are a gel. That is what they're called, a watercolor acrylic. Okay, they're called, what does it say on here again? Soft gel watercolor acrylic craft paint. Soft gel watercolor acrylic craft paint. All right, let me get some other brushes. And just so you know, I don't use watercolor brushes because I'm not a watercolor person. I'm just me. Hey, Galena. How much are they normal price? Well, the Hobby Lobby ones were $2.49. I don't know. I don't remember how much the Martha Stewart ones were. I don't know if they were more. Somebody might be able to tell you. $3.99? Okay. So $3.99 versus $2.49. So I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to use them both. All right, so I have some water in a container, illegal fluids, but it's really hard to do stuff without illegal fluids on the table. So I washed, doing this, and I'm going to just get some color here. I'm going to get a little blue too. And before it's over with, I will have every color on the palette. That is just the way it is. If I have a bunch of colors, I'm going to have to use them all. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Okay. So let's do some, and I'm going to water this down because after all it says watercolor. So I'm going to thin it out with water. So does anybody, do they dry chalky like regular craft paints? Race is here? Is Race here? Oh, no, you're just telling on me. Linda McAllister, you cannot be trusted. You cannot be trusted, Linda McAllister. I'm telling you what. Just, here I am streaming to keep you guys company, and you're trying to tell on me. That is not nice. Just saying. All right. So let's put some of this on here. The question was, do they dry with a chalky surface? I don't know the answer to that. I've only used them in my art journal, and it's been a while, so I don't even remember like how they dried in the art journal, to tell you the truth. And the last time I worked on this paper, I used a different kind of paint. So I've squirted out a lifetime supply of this paint. I can tell you that right now. So before it goes bad, I'm going to be scraping it into my journal somewhere because I can tell lifetime supply I have put out, which is totally and completely redunculous. All right, so I've put that just a very, very wash. I mean, you saw the pile of paint. I just dragged out a little bit, put a lot of water in it. All right, let's vary this one up a little bit, and let's use the same color. Yeah, Linda McAllister's in the corner. That is for reals. So I'm going to add a little corner of blue. I mean, I hardly picked up any blue. And look how tinted that. Yeah. Okay. So look how that changed that color. So these are brushes from Ranger that I'm using, which I use with acrylics, I use with watercolor, I use with everything. Okay. Any of you guys that are watercolorists, do not pay any attention to what I am doing because I'm just playing here. Because what we're doing here today is we're doing a test with my system. Yes, we're doing a test. So I'm just putting some of this paint on here, trying to keep it within the confines of what's printed on this Tattered Angels. This is what I'm using. Mixed Media Origins Mini Art. I have no idea what I'm going to do with these later. I think they would be great journal covers. They would make nice cards. I'll probably put them on journal covers. I don't know. Hard telling. Okay, but the great part, now that's pretty. That really is pretty, don't you think? It's gorgeous, don't you think? Hi, Cheryl. Okay, Lisa Elaine says, when she saw Martha talk about these on Instagram, she was under the impression that when they dry on fabric, they're not hard and crunchy like regular acrylic. Very interesting. Okay. Barb, did you set the video to 450p? I did set it up higher, so you're sharp now. That's not up to me. That's up to you guys to set the way you like to look at it. Yeah. Hey, Marion. Okay. So, yeah, I didn't set it. I didn't set a thing. Okay. So what I'm going to do, look how pretty those have dried. Wow. The advantage to this, I keep getting distracted by the chat. You guys are distracting me. The advantage to these is that you have, they're all done in grayscale, so it doesn't take a lot of work to make them happen. Actually, that's enough. You don't have to go any further. But, of course, let's go a little further because we can. So I'm going to take a little bit of the blue here, and I'm going to side load the brush because I do this all the time when I'm painting with acrylic. So I'm going to side load the brush with blue. I might put a little bit of lavender in here just so it softens that blue a little tiny bit. Okay, so, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to, now the one thing that this paper does is it does want to kind of warp a little bit, and I've noticed that before. So you kind of have to stick your finger on it. And so what I'm doing is just adding a little bit of this darker color and blending it before it dries. Just to give it a little something, something extra. So I'm using both sides of the brush. One side of the brush has color, the other side does not. And so I'm painting with two corners of the brush is what I'm doing here. If you guys need me to zoom in tighter, tell me. I can do that now. We're probably stuck with this shot because I think my program has probably frozen up by now on this shot. Such is the way of technology. Okay, so we've done that. Hi, Julia. The one thing about these brushes is that they do chip off after a while. That's because I don't take care of them. All right, let's see. Down here on this one, I'm going to add some yellow and some of this ochre color. Hey, Kate. You set your video setting in OBS to 1080p. It is set exactly the way Ray set it when he was here, when he was setting up the system. I will have to ask him about that because I really don't know. He sets things up, and let's just say this, I do not have permission to make changes without prior direction from the technical department. Okay. Meanwhile, okay, let's come back to this. Thanks, Linda. I appreciate it. I was just giving you a bunch of lip. I know it's hard for you to believe that. It really is a neat paper. Rosemary, have you worked with this paper before? Hi, Vicki. Oh, Carla, I know this. But let me tell you something about that tech department. I would not be doing this had it not been for the tech department pushing. Yeah. The tech department is the one totally responsible for me doing any of this. Because I was very content to sit in my studio space and create things just for the sake of creating them. I did not have any compulsion whatsoever to put myself out there into the world. In fact, when he said, because I was streaming just for fun, and when he said, "This, you need to do this, blah, 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 blah," I'm like, "Oh, I can't do that." He's like, "Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can." I'm like, no, I don't think so. So, yeah, he's 100% responsible for this happening. It's all his fault. Okay, so we're going to put a little yellow here, and then we'll come back and we'll play around with this a little bit more. But this is really pretty with that blue. Hi, Kuka. Hi, is it April? Thank you, Race. Hi, Anne. Yeah, thank you, Race. I don't know. Okay, let's pick up some green. So I'm going to put some green here. That's really green. We need to tone that down with something. Let's see, what color is this? Sienna. This is vanilla bean. We're going to add a little vanilla bean. What is happening here? Well, Kuka, we all want to know the answer to that question. We're all trying to answer that question. So I'm going to add a little vanilla bean into this green to tone it down just a little bit, because it seems like really green. Can you see that? This is the color. This is the color here. I'm toning it down with this. I know you can't see it a whole lot, but you'll see it on the palette anyway. I'm toning it down with the brown. So let's put some of this in here. And I tend to paint with brushes that are too big for the space, and I tend to work with flat brushes because that's my preference. Happens to be what I like. Everybody has to do what they like, you know? You got to learn to work with, you got to try lots of different things and then figure out what you like. That's what I think. It is a little tiny bit of paint. I'm telling you, Linda, you are right. This paint goes a long way. But watercolor paint does that, you know. You invest a lot of money in watercolors, in a little tiny tube of watercolor. Sometimes you can pay, what, 30, 40, 50, $60 for a little tiny tube of watercolor paint. And it goes a long, long way. Okay, so let's come back here to this flower, and let's see if we can tone this one just a little bit. We'll add a little more blue to it, and maybe a little bit of this gray color. I don't think that's going to be enough. We'll put the gray back, or yes, this is blue. Put the blue back in. Okay, so let's shade in here a little bit with one side, and then I just flip the brush around and blend it with the other side. But having that gray, the grayscale behind it, it's hugely helpful. You don't have to do much work on these. Very little work. Mostly I'm just playing around with it because I'm here and because you guys are here, and why not? And it's kind of a gray day here where I live in the great Midwest. It's a gray day. So is Fiber Ann still here? If you are, I have a question for you. Are you still working with that young man that you were teaching? I can't remember his name now. I have a piece of his artwork. If you are, please give him my regards. I think about him quite often and hope that he is still being creative. Okay. Hello, Arabella. Hi, Becky. It's raining there too. It's just really weird. Okay, so let's see if we can shade the green a little bit. So I'm going to take the green and let's put a little blue in it. This is where we just play, and put a little vanilla bean brown in it. What I'm after is a darker green than what I have on the stem so far. Okay. And I'm going to come up here. And I'm not too worried about getting outside the lines, because I'm going to come in here and put in a background after a bit. But I do love what the paper does. This paper does, I mean, it's like it looks like you're going to cover up all the stuff, and then it just kind of dries down, you know, and the black ink comes back to the top, and it's just pretty darn cool. Having my palette where you guys can see it is just where I just stuck my hand. See the things I go through for you guys? All right, and a little bit more. Now, you know, you could come back. You could do all this shading stuff. If you want to do the shading stuff, you could do this with colored pencils later when it was dry. A la Dee Dee Willingham. You could do that. All right, I'm not sure you can see that, but anyway, it's there. Okay, Claudette says she gets a horrendous backache when using a sewing machine. I will tell you the biggest thing that I see with people and sewing machines, and I used to work in the sewing machine industry. It depends on how you're set up. This is a little aside from our whole deal here. But the biggest thing that we used to see in the sewing machine industry is people would not get their sewing machines down low enough. And they would, because machines, once they became portable, people would put them up on a table, which meant that they had to hold, can you see my arms? They had to hold their arms up. And so when they're holding their arms up, they're putting a great deal of tension across their back. Where if you will have your machine down at the height of a table, which means you have to have a table for that purpose, but get your machine down at table height. And then rest your arms on the table surface as much as you can. And when you're moving your hands, move your hands as opposed to moving your entire arms. Or sew at a little bit slower pace so that you can take some breaks and rest your elbows, rest your arms, take the pressure off of your spine. That helps. What else? There was one other thing that just blipped right out of my head. Paxton got to try the long arm machines at the quilt show. Oh, wow. At 12, he got to do that. That's so great. Tell Paxton a big hello from me, and tell him that he needs to sew and create all the other stuff too. The top flower is connected. It's got a stem right there. The stem's behind it. It's connected. It's okay. It's okay. These are petals that are rolled up. It's okay, Debbie. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, Anne, good. Okay, what was the other thing? So get your arms on the table, get your work at table height. And the other thing is, we saw people when they would get really nervous about sewing. Can you see my shoulders? See up here? We would catch people, even just a little bit, even that much tension when you're sewing is going to magnify when it gets, the tension gets back around your spine, and you can start into that back issue. The other thing is leaning forward, which we tend to do when we sew. People will lean forward, and that puts a lot of pressure on the low back. So maybe some of those things will help you. I don't know. Maybe those things will help you. I hope. Okay, so let's come back up here and let's adjust this a little bit. The center of this flower. These are made up flowers by Barb. Okay, made up flowers by Barb. Did Rosemary say she'd worked with this? Rosemary Morris, are you still here? Or was it Rosemary Morris, or was Rosemary, I think it was Rosemary Morris that was talking about this earlier. I didn't miss it if she said she'd worked with this paper. Okay, we're going to leave that alone. Okay, let's put in a background, shall we? Why not? She says, why not? So let's see if I can keep my hand out of this. Looks like orchids. Looks good to me. She said she had. Okay, thanks. Rosemary, what did you do with it? What did you do with the paper? What was your favorite way to do it? I'm going to use just a tiny little bit of this, and this color is, did I say what it was? Pastel turquoise. Yeah, paint on fabric. Use washes and layers instead of paint full strength. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm just kind of coming around this. Paint, not pain. We knew what you meant, Anne. We knew what you meant. All right, so I have watered this way down. And I'm just kind of dancing around this and watching the chat. I've printed on watercolor paper. It depends. I only printed on 90-pound watercolor paper, but maybe some of the other people in the chat have other experiences. Sometimes it depends on your printer. I take no responsibility for screwing up anybody's printer if you try something other than text weight paper, by the way. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid, so I'll go for it and try stuff. I don't buy expensive printers. Some people do. I don't. I buy my limit's $100 on a printer because I'm gonna mess it up eventually anyway. And so I don't pay more than $100. I don't care what it, somebody wants to give me an expensive printer, that's, I'll take it, but I'm not gonna spend a bunch of money on a printer that I'm gonna mess around with. You know what I mean? All right, so I'm just washing this down to just, you can see that little tiny bit of paint. Still stays pretty pigmented. Rosemary says she's used the paper for journal covers. It will not rip. Yep. Also jelly printed on it. And eco printed on it. Really? Wow. So did you jelly print on it? Did you buy it as plain stuff or plain paper, or did you jelly print on it the printed stuff? Miss Rosemary? Do tell. We want to know. Give us the 411, as Crafting Mama Shelley says. Give us the 411, girl. Picking up cat hair. I know, that's a shocker around here. You guys, my cats live in my studio, and they have lived here from the day that they arrived, and they have never, unless they have done it on their own, gone out of the studio. I'm not saying they've always done that. There are times when they like to go upstairs, and they think that they're being so stealth, except you hear boom, 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 boom as they're going down the hall, so they tell right on themselves. Anyway, I decided that I was going to see if I could introduce them to part of my downstairs of my house, because they will come out when they start getting hungry, because I feed them twice a day, and I feed them at 11 o'clock at night, so they'll start getting hungry, and so they come out, and they will come and sit on the steps, because the downstairs of our house is where I am in the evenings, usually, until I come back up here to work. And so I've been taking them downstairs to spend some time down there. And Muppet, our mixed breed dog, she fancies herself being Constable Muppet, and so she is very suspicious of the cats being anywhere but in the studio. That's where they're meant to be, But she's been pretty tolerant of them coming down and being on the couch, and let me tell you, it took precisely one time of doing that with them, and they decided that they should do that forever and ever. Amen. Thank you very much. They are Siamese cats, and those of you that are familiar with Siamese cats know what lovely voices they have, and I knew from the get-go that the only way I was going to be able to live with them was to have them somewhere that was not with me 100% of the time, because I was going to want to kill them if I had to listen to their beautiful, melodious voices all the time. Anyway. You saw the kitty post on Instagram. Oh, you think it was belly, belly, belly? Yes, they both have very big bellies. Yes. Hi, Barbara. You're having a good day, yoga and me. Woo. Okay, let's see what else. So Rosemary, yes, on plain paper. So you can get this paper as plain, huh? I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that. I'm going to have to check that out. I didn't know you could get this paper as plain paper. All right, so we've got that going on. So let's see if we can do something in the background a little bit. Let's use some of this vanilla bean kind of color. See if we can grunge this up a little bit. And this is acrylic paint, and so it is going to dry, just like acrylic paint's going to dry. It's not going to be totally rewettable. Like, I'm going to use a bigger brush here. It's not going to be rewettable like watercolor is. So it is going to behave like acrylic. So again, I'm side loading the brush using a big wide brush. Okay. And it doesn't behave just like acrylic does for certain. Bye, Arabella. Nice to have you join us. 12 by 12 sheets. Wow, that's cool. All right. Now I forgot which corner I did it on. Okay, so let's... And just adding a little shadow around the corners and edges. So what are you guys all working on today? Are you being creative in some way or taking a break? Oh, the opinionated, yes, that is a grave, that is gravely understated about Siamese. Opinionated, yes. Hi, Sylvia. Your collage journaling, good for you. I know Carla's doing collage work. Carla, I'm really quite new to Instagram, but I saw several of Caged Fish Carla's pieces on Instagram that she did. Carla, you are gifted, girl. You are gifted when it comes to that collage with just a few images. You are gifted. I missed when they passed out the jeans for collage work. I did not get them. I must have thought they were saying something else and got out of that line because, yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm brand new on Instagram. I've had an Instagram account for ages, but I'm now making a conscious effort to use it. And so you can follow me on Instagram if you want. That would be great if you'd like to do that. I needed another social media to manage, like I needed another hole in my head, but sometimes you got to get with the program. And I often paint with two brushes. Usually the second brush is in my mouth, but that makes it really hard to talk to you guys if the brush is in my mouth. But when I'm doing acrylic, when I'm doing my my husband's painting his wood carvings, that is how I do that, which again makes it very hard to stream. Because I can't talk, because I always have one brush. So I'll have one brush that's just damp that I am doing the blending with, and the other brush is the one doing the paint, carrying the paint. All right. Okay, good enough. We're going to move on to another piece. You're busy watching me? Okay. Carla says she's really been having fun making those. I'm telling you, Carla, you are really good with that. Carla, if you don't follow Caged Fish on Instagram, you guys need to do that. I was unaware of what I know about Carla's work is watching her on when she streams. And these pieces that she's doing, that she's showing on Instagram, I don't think those are pieces she's streamed at all, right? They're really beautiful pieces. She really is, Rosemary. I agree. I'm so sweet. Don't tell anybody. Arlene is putting hats on pumpkins, paces on dresses, eyes on the tree trunks. Must be Paces on dresses. Oh, there you're, okay, so those are her Patreon workshop collages. Gotcha. Got ya. Okay. All right, well, that's, that doesn't look too bad, except the yellow looks too yellow, so we're going to go over the yellow. We're going to tone down that yellow. The opposite of yellow on the color wheel is what? This is your test. What's the opposite of yellow on the color wheel? Purple. Very good. So I'm using a little bit of this lavender to see if we can marry the yellow to the lavender, blue, lavender, purple a little bit more. Other color on the color wheel. Linda, you got it. I'll tell you, that Linda McAllister, she is something. We got to watch out for her. All right, so we'll see if that tones it down enough. It might not. All right, we'll set this one to the side and let's see what happens with it. Let's go for one more of these. How about this one? Let's do this one. Hi, Denise. Oh, this is a testing stream. This is not my regular show at all. This is not a regular thing. Hey, Kia. Yep, purple is it. So that was the reason that I used lavender with the yellow to see if I could tone it down, because it's opposite on the color wheel. So we'll see what it does when it dries out. It might be good, might not. Who knows? All right, let's for this one, let's start with the green. We'll start with the green leaves here. So I'm going to use some of this. This is watercolor acrylic craft paint. The oxymoron paint is what I call it. We're going to use some of the green and tone it, because that is so green. Tone it back, chase it back with some vanilla bean. So I'm using a combination of Martha Stewart paints and folk art paints. Okay, that's a much more pleasing green to me than that. That's just like in your face. Whew. In your face. All right, so let's use this. And the paper is Tattered Angels Mixed Media paper. Comes printed like this in grayscale. And so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm trying to keep the, sometimes you got to look at these images too. It's like, what is this? Sometimes it's a little tricky to figure out, okay, that's part of this. Botanical images. I'm using inexpensive Ranger brushes. These are actually part of Claudine Helmuth's line, which doesn't exist anymore. I think the brushes or something similar still exist, but labeled under her name, that doesn't exist anymore. But I like these brushes for many, many things. They're too soft to work on fabric. If you like to paint on fabric, these are the Media Line brushes, Dina Wakley's Media Line brushes. They're really stiff. Now those work well on fabric. There's a free tip for you. For what it's worth. They used to say that and 25 cents will get you a cup of coffee. Well, that doesn't work anymore. Now you got to say $5. I taught you yellow. I taught you yellow, Nancy. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it around because I need to work toward myself. Pushing paint away, I'm never gonna keep it in a specified area. Never, never, never. Yellow is a funny color. Sometimes yellow is a hard color to work with, honestly. I like yellow. There's not a color out there I don't like other than taupe. See what terrible shape these brushes are in? Look at that. Look at that. Look how awful that is. Do you see that? Am I going to retire it? No. But when I paint with the corner of the brush sometimes, you know, causes me problems. Your brushes should not split like that. If they split like that, you haven't taken real good care of them, or they're inexpensive brushes. I just learned to work around the splits. Now, the disadvantage to working upside down is you have to... Any of you that know me know that I do not work upside down and backwards. I don't do anything upside down and backwards effectively. Yeah. I just don't. So, you will see me flip things around many times. If there's something that's an upside down and backwards kind of thing, I have to really be careful with that. Yeah, because I am... What is it the UK people say? I'm pants with upside down and backwards. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say or not, but anyway, I'm terrible at thinking that way. Some people do that just with such ease. They can flip stuff around in their heads. We used to take these tests when I was a kid. Standardized tests. I went to a school that was called the lab school, and it was called that for a reason. Let me tell you, we got tested by... We were like monkeys in a lab, let me tell you. And it was affiliated with the university, the local university. And I am here to tell you, we got tested for everything. I got so sick of being tested. Whew. Pants means undies in the UK. Oh, well, I thought they used it as a slang expression. Sorry, I apologize to every person I have just offended. When you buy the 12 by 12 from the company, it's called suede paper. Ah, thank you, Rosemary. I'm going to write that down. Okay, suede paper. That's really good to know. Suede paper. So that's the 12 by 12 mixed media, plain mixed media paper. I need to get some of that because I really do love that. I really do like that paper a lot. It means both. Okay. What was meant earlier by forbidden or illegal fluids. Illegal fluids is any kind of fluid I have on my table which can screw up my computer equipment. It's a running joke I have with my son, who gets very upset if I have big things of fluid on my table. So I tease him by calling them illegal fluids. That's all. Hi, Tara. Yeah, exactly. Denise Hovey says, color wheel, red and green equals Christmas. Purple and yellow equals Easter. Blue and orange equal Broncos. That's right. And that's what they did to make sure that everyone would remember the Broncos, right? The heck with Christmas. Okay, let's put some of this. What color was this? Ochre? I think this was ochre. It was just a joke. Yeah, the thing about illegal fluids. It's not for real. I know sometimes I say things with a straight face and, you know, I forget that you guys don't know the ins and outs of my craziness. So I'm using ochre that I'm going to put in the middle here. And we'll come back and shade this a little bit. All right, we need to make this daisy a color. I am going to get out a round brush because I'm struggling with the flat one here. tell you, my cats are thieves when it comes to brushes, especially foam brushes for some reason. And I have a lot of foam brushes stuck in a toolbox that's under a table. And because I use them when I do paste paper and stuff like that. Pardon me. That was rude. Anyway, I digress. Barb, do I own a scanner? I do. Yes. There's 100 people watching here, Nancy. Good grief. You guys. That was really nice of you to show up for this impromptu testing, who knows what's going to happen kind of show. It's not even a show. It's just I'm testing. That's all. Where'd I go? Oh, yeah. So if I have that container with those, exposed at all with the brushes, I'll show you. Here, behind the scenes look. Let me get the... I don't know whether I'm going to have access to this camera. All right, let's see. There's a high probability that if I change this, if the shot will change for me, that I won't be able to come back to this shot. If that happens, I'll have to restart. Hang on a minute. All right, let me see if I can show you. Handheld camera, so it's going to be shaky. See that that container, the big tote that's on the floor? There's a container right behind it, and it has a pair of orange-handled something sticking out of it. In that container, so you can see how close it is to the floor. All right, let me see if I can get back to you guys. Ah, hey, it worked. Thank you very much. Thank you. So anyway, that tote that I just showed you is the one that contains my foam brushes. And so when I'm in here working at night, and if the sponsors, who are very fat Siamese cats, if they get bored, you know what they do? They go over there and unload all the foam brushes out of there. And Chance has been known to take them around the studio and play with them like they're toys. Like he'll toss them and he'll carry them around, and he just has the best time with them, and he chases them. He'll throw them and go get them. And all the time, the other time, Charlie's over there just unloading them. He's just getting them out of the tote and putting them on the floor, Then Chance will come and get them, and then he'll toss them around. It's like between those cats and the dog who is in here, she has a basket of, it's a big basket. It's a Longaberger basket. So any of you guys that know Longaberger baskets will understand how some people who are Longaberger baskets collectors have an absolute fit that I have dog toys in one of mine. But I've always had dog toys in a Longaberger basket, and I do that just because. Anyway, so she has a whole basket full of toys. She's never, ever tried to chew up the basket. I don't allow dogs to chew the baskets, and they haven't. Anyway, I digress. So she comes in here, the dog, and she unloads all of her toys out of the basket. So at night, and she has a bunch of bones in there, like, bones, chewy bones. At night, when I close up the studio, sometimes it looks like a garbage pile in here. And it's because of two cats and a dog. The dog unloads all these bones, so it looks like something has died. And then the cats look like I've had a fit, It's just crazy. Anyway. That's what they do. They do that. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Who's no longer in business? Wait, I missed something. Oh, Joy, I'm glad you're here too. They're the craziest things. Okay, so anyway, meanwhile, back at this. Let's do, look how pretty that dried down. It's just, this stuff is really incredible. It really is. Oh, Longaberger is no longer in business? For real? Wow, this is probably a valuable basket I got these dog bones. I had no idea. When did that happen? When did Longaberger go out of business? I had no clue. Really, seriously. I had no idea. That's sad. That makes me sad. I have quite a collection of baskets. The building is for sale, 2016. Oh, that is sad. Wow, that is sad. That just makes me want to just weep for them, because that was such, there's amazing baskets. They're all handmade baskets. They're all signed on the bottom by the artist. Maybe I should take the dog toys out of them, you think? Probably should. I'm probably devaluing them as they sit here with dog toys in them. It's probably some sacrilege I've just committed and I didn't mean to. I love them. I have quite a few. That is so sad. I had no clue. Aw, very sad. Yes, they were expensive. Expensive baskets. And they were all of them were sold, at least when I was buying them. They were sold completely in a party atmosphere. So you had to go to somebody's house, or, they had to be sold that way. That's really sad. That was a family-owned business. I wonder if they just ran out of family members that were interested in carrying on the business. Oh, look how pretty. That's pretty. Don't you think that's pretty? Honestly, you don't have to do anything more than that. Not that I'm going to leave it alone, but, you really don't have to do any more than that. No, I'm not working from a stamp. They are printed. These are printed images. They're grayscale printed images like this. There were 6 in this set. And they're from Tattered Angels, the Mixed Media Origins Mini Art. A collection of unique vintage designs, color in and out of the lines, and add to art journals, cards, scrapbook layouts, mixed media, and so much more. Black permanent ink printed on heavy-duty specialty paper, perfect for mixed media mediums, mist, paint, ink, dyes, watercolors, and markers. From Tattered Angels. Coffee or tea today? I did have coffee. Why? Do you think I'm a little crazy? You think I'm a little crazy? Okay, let's, because purple is the opposite, well, let's put a little yellow up here first. We'll use some of this ochre and some of the yellow, so it's not straight yellow. And let's put a little bit of this up here, because there's a little bud. So I'm just going to put a little bit back here. I actually had tea this morning too, so I've had both. Okay. All right, so we got that. Oh, wondering which caught my fancy. Both. Who can choose? Who can choose? All right. Let's put a color behind this. Let's use, how about, we might come back and add something else to this. I don't know, I might leave it alone too, just for the sake of moving on. Let's put some blue back here, because blue is opposite yellow. So this is the blue color. Did I tell you what color that is? Probably not. That color is indigo. That is certainly not indigo to me. That's what it says, indigo, in the Martha Stewart line. Okay, that's too much, way too much. So we're just going to keep going and adding water and adding more water, because that's going to be way too strong. Way too strong. A little of this goes a long way. That's still too strong. See? This is what happens when you start with too much pigment. All right, and I'm going to turn it down a notch with a little bit of, well, that was too much, of vanilla bean. I'm telling you, these are the weirdest, these are truly the weirdest paints going. Weird paints. They don't react like anything else I've ever worked with. They're just odd. It does look more bright blue, doesn't it? But it's called indigo. Indigo. Yeah, I agree with you, Monique. Indigo is much darker. Okay, so here we go. Now, the thing about it is, I have noticed you cannot dilly-dally around if you're painting in a background, because if it dries, you are going to get a line. Okay, so you gotta move it. You gotta move it. If you don't want to have a line dry on your paper. Okay, so do not dally here, people. And when you're putting in a background with the paint, do not dally around. So that's why I keep going over here to keep this edge wet. See, this stripe, well, it doesn't show up quite as dark as what I'm making it. This color that I've got going up here, to me, is approaching a little bit more of an indigo. All right, let's keep going. Come back over here, wet the edge. See, don't let it dry too much. Don't let it dry too much. Because if you do, you're going to be sorry, sorry, sorry. Come back over here. Don't let the edge dry. If you don't mind getting a line, you're okay. It's not a big deal, right? But if you can control a big brush, which that was how I was taught to paint. Years ago with oil paint, I was taught to use the biggest brush I could use. Some people don't agree with that philosophy. But if you will use the biggest brush possible, you'll cover more area and cut down the chance of things drying. This paper does start to warp a little bit, and so you kind of have to, I find that I have to keep my finger in the middle of it, you know, where it's dry. Keep my finger in there to kind of keep it from bouncing around. That wall hanging I showed you earlier, that art quilt with the girl and the butterflies for hair, that I'm calling a self-portrait. It's not that she looks like me, it's just that she showcases my favorite things. I'm going to be rendering that in paper as well, or a paper fabric combination. So those of you that are members of the website, if you're not a fabric person, you'll be able to see it in paper also. Or a combination. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be a combination, but anyway. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, good enough. Yep, did you see it, Nancy? You did, didn't you? Okay, so let's put something on here to change the corners of this a little bit. How about some green? Maybe we'll try a little green into this indigo. Well, She has beads on her too, Nancy. She has beads on her too. But I started to tell you, I think I told you and then kind of stopped. One of the members on the website never had done any sewing, and she ended up buying an inexpensive machine to start with, which, you know, I always advocate buying the best thing you can possibly buy to start with, whether it's art supplies or machines or equipment or whatever. You know, get the best you can afford. If you can't afford something expensive, well, you know, get the very best thing that you can possibly get for the money that you have to work with. One of the things I learned, see, I'm all over the place. One of the things I learned when I was in the sewing machine industry is that people never regret getting more for their money. You know, getting that extra feature, that extra thing. They don't regret that, but they always regret not getting enough. And I can relate that to computers too, because at one point I had to buy a new laptop, and so to save money I went with the smaller screen. Big mistake. Because it's like, oh man, I went down in size with the computer screen just to save some money, because I thought, oh, I really, you know, sometimes it's I don't deserve, sometimes it's, oh, I really shouldn't. No, that's a big mistake to go with less than you really want, you know. Okay, so I kind of like that with the green and blue. Still doesn't have quite enough punch in the background. So is that true with watercolor as well? Yes, I would get the best watercolor you can get if you really are serious about wanting to learn watercolor. You'll frustrate yourself if you start out with junk. Now, I'm not a watercolorist, okay? But I'm just telling you from experience with watching other people. Get the best you can afford. It doesn't mean you have to go out and buy the absolute top brand of watercolor, but just get the best that you can afford. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Looks pretty cool. I think these would be fun with some stitching on them. Here, Nancy, did you see? See? She's got beading on her. See Miss Nancy? She has beads. See that? But all of these are loose. See? There's beading on there. This is elementary beading. Okay, enough. All right, let's we'll set this one to the side. We might come back and do something else on it later. I don't know. We'll see. Let's play with one of these. These are the same kind of thing. I know. She's fun, isn't she? These are the same kind of paper. This is watercolor style. The other one doesn't say. It just says, it just has a symbol up here in the corner. These are vintage designs. Okay, garden flower, that's what they are. Duh, garden flower. That's what we were just doing. These are watercolor style, The Flowers. Now that's an original title. But anyway, it's very descriptive and appropriate, I guess. These measure, on this batch, they measure 6 by 6. The other ones, yeah, that Athena, that is what I'm using, is the Martha Stewart watercolor acrylic craft paint, and also the folk art equivalent. These are the ones I was just doing, 4 by 6, so they're postcard size. 4x6 is a sweet little journal size, but then so is this. All right, let's do something fun with this. I don't know what, but let's do something fun. I'm going to get out some different colors just because I'm tired of using those same ones. That's what happens to me. I get tired of using the same thing. So this color is Wild Salmon. Okay, Wild Salmon. Not my favorite color, but it could be great. You never know. And this one is, I have two pinks. I have two pinks. One of them is peony and the other one is rose pink. Let's go with rose pink. They are soft gel watercolor acrylic craft paints. And as you have watched me, that does not take very much. And this one is Martha Stewart, and this one is Folk Art. Hydrangea Purple. I'm just thinking we need to use, if something's called Hydrangea Purple, we need to squirt a little of that out, don't you think? I guess I could scoot it over so you could actually see. That would be handy. Weird consistency paint. I'm telling you, weird consistency. I was going to get out a red. Okay, what are the reds I have? Poppy and habanero. Maybe we'll use poppy. Yeah, use a stamp pad over the edge. I may do that. Instead of putting paint on it, I may just use a stamp pad because I like that and it's easy. All right, so we have those. And then let's get, okay, this one is very much like that. I just stuck my hand in the paint again. This one is Dragonfly. If something's got the name Dragonfly, we should use it, don't you think? Okay, a little bit of Dragonfly. Okay, that's a pretty good sampling of the colors that I have, other than I have some white. Oops. My chat computer went to sleep there for a second. I almost lost you. A little bit of white. All right. Okay, so those are the colors we have out on the palette. Okay, just so you know what colors I have that I'm working with. And a mess. Okay? All right. I'll try to tell you what I'm dealing with. Hi, Elise. I know. Oh, Athena is Sharon. Oh, my. Sharon, you're probably going to have to remind me of that a few dozen times. I'm just saying. When the names are really different, than the screen name, it takes me a while to get that through my little pea brain. Okay. Get rid of that. Okay. So let's just play with this. It's probably supposed to be a, oh, I don't know, kind of looks like a pansy sort of, but we're going to pretend like we don't know what it is. Okay, let's use some pink, some pank. It's what one of my husband's clients calls it, pank. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'll turn it this way. The problem is trying to do this so you can see it and so I don't put my hand in the paint. Okay, so we're just gonna, I'm painting with my hand up in the air. So in an effort not to stick my hand in the palette. All right, so we're going to do this layer of petals in this pink. In this pink color here, pink. You really can't mess up this paper, I'm telling you. You really can't. You just sort of go for it and slop some paint on it, and it's going to look good no matter what you do. It really is going to look good no matter what you do. So this is that salmon color. So we're going to put some of this on here, see what it looks like. Thanks for hanging out with me today as I was testing some stuff. It was really nice of you guys to hang out. I guess I should have changed the description as to what this stream was. I'll do that afterwards. I forgot all about changing that. Forgot all about that. Okay, let's do this one in salmon. So it's still got the description on it from what we did in October, or the first regular stream, first Friday of October, because that's when I normally stream, is first Friday of the month. I have 2 pieces in here. That was not intended. It's like, why is this so thick? Well, it's because you picked up 2 pieces of paper. That's why. Okay, and of course, let's do one more petal. Let's do this one. Well, they're very, very odd paints. The question is, do I like the Martha Stewart paint? The answer is they're very, very strange paints. I've used them a number of times. I showed earlier an art journal page that I did with bubbles using them, and I've used them several times in art journaling types of techniques, and they're just so odd. They're just odd. Now you can see on this, because there was so much grayscale, that the colors are going to go very, very muted. So what I may do on this is I may come back with colored pencils later. Instead of trying to do it with paint, I may come back with colored pencils later and mess around with colored pencils. Okay, this color combination is looking positively atrocious, so let's just put in some lavender and see if that could possibly make it any better. It's just such a weird paint. Weird paint. Mostly because it doesn't make sense to my head. That's why I say weird. Okay, this doesn't have enough pigment in it, so I'm going to add a little blue into it. And I mean, they are really, really pigmented. I do have to give them that. You can change the color a whole lot just by adding a tiny speck of another color. But I do think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to mess around with using colored pencils like Prismacolors to add some interest into this. And if all else fails, I'll get out the gel pens and I'll just doodle the crap out of this. Which probably wasn't very nice to say, but you know. I can turn about anything into a mandala. I just have to tell you. Which, by the way, if you haven't ordered your Mandala Madness deck, I highly recommend that you do. Any of you here that have the Mandala Madness cards, if you like them, if you don't like them, don't say anything. I'm teasing. If you do like them, you know, tell everybody why they should have their own. At least one deck, probably 2, because 1 for inspiration and 2 to use as an art supply. I recorded a video this morning using them to make regular ATCs, which I'm hoping to get that video up for you guys to watch later this weekend. We'll see how successful I am with that. what I really want to do is I really want to be in my sewing room working on the finishing details for the class. That's what I really want to do. That probably is going to win, but we'll see. When you're sitting here on this side of the camera and computer and you rattle on, sometimes you say weird things. Have you ever noticed that? Don't answer. Hey, Shelley. That using the cards as an art supply will be here for YouTube. Yeah. On the ATCs. How's Miss Shelley doing today? I was talking about you earlier. What do I mean odd? I don't know, because I don't even know what I said. Yeah, I was just doing some testing, Miss Shelley, just doing some testing. The technical department is out of town, and he told me to test, and so I'm testing. So that's what we're doing. So far, the test has gone perfectly. You never know. Are you planning to stream tonight, Miss Shelley? Miss Crafting Mamas? If you don't subscribe to Crafting Mamas channel, you need to click her name or click the 3 dots or whatever it is and subscribe to her channel. I know there are other people with channels here too. Whew, that is seriously ugly, people. That is seriously ugly. There's some seriously ugly stuff going on. That is going to take some colored pencils, some gel pens, and if nothing else, I will turn it into a mandala. Yes, yes, I will. Race is good. I called you in, Shelley? Of course I did. That's right. Punch up the pink. It would be good, but I'm going to have to do it with pencils because there's so much grayscale in the background that on the image. Like, see all the grayscale that this particular one is printed with? I think the colors need to be more intense to show up. I think that going pastel was a big mistake. Okay, let us, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So let's go with Dragonfly in the background, shall we? Why not? Let's put Dragonfly in the background. Because we can. Salmon color is weird. I don't like it. I never have liked salmon. You know, it's really it's a very appropriate name for that. Salmon's not my favorite color, but it's close enough to peach that I thought I could get away with it. Yeah, not so much. That's all right. This could be a big mistake. Could be just what the doctor orders. But remember, when you're working on this stuff, you got to keep a wet edge. If you don't keep a wet edge, it's going to dry with a line. Well, good luck with whatever you have going on there. I'm planning to do some more fun kind of streams like this where, you know, it's not the formal planned out kind of thing. But other things take priority a lot of the time. Sometimes there just feels like there's not enough hours in the day. You guys ever feel that way? Probably mistake, if there is one, is combining the salmon, which is a warm color, with the pink and the lavender, which are definitely cool. That's probably where our issue is coming in here. It's always safest to work in one color family or the other. And then use the opposite color family in the background. Oh, thanks, CB. It's all the technical department's fault. Like I told him, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Anything I can, I'm going to blame on him. Love you, Race. If he's watching in the background, that'll flush him right to the surface. He's on Instagram too. He posted, if you guys don't follow him, he's Race Owen. If you don't follow him on Instagram and you want some eye candy, you need to go follow him and see his picture that he posted earlier today. Yeah, serious eye candy. Not enough hours, I know. There's 24 hours in a day, I know, but sometimes it just doesn't feel like that. One time, a gal I worked for told me she was complaining about not having enough time, which I learned from her not to complain usually. Sometimes I'm not successful with that. All right, we got to change the salmon petals to something else. All right, let's go. Let's try this. Let's see if I can alter this lavender. I'm going to see if I can change this lavender color up here enough that I can get away with. No, that's not what I want. Is that what I want? Yeah. All right, let's try that. Anyway, she told me she was complaining about not having enough time. And she said to me, because I had taken some stuff in and shown her things that I was working on. And she said, and I quote, "Well, you have so much more time than I do." I'm like, I'm telling you, what I said to her was, last time I checked, we both had 24 hours in a day. To which she responded with, "You know what I mean." Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is to tone down, in other words, get rid of the salmon color, because that was like what Dina Wakley refers to as puke on a page. Puke on a page, people. Whew. Had nothing to do with the image. Had everything to do with my color choice. Contrasted against all the gray in the background. Yeah, that was not a good color choice. If I had gone with a warm color scheme on the other petals, we might have gotten away with it. But not so much here. Anyway, when you sit on this side of the camera and you talk nonstop for however many hours you talk, which, by the way, Stacy at Pink Poodle Crafts, my hat is off to you, girl. I do not know how you stream for 7 and 8 and more hours at a time. I am telling you. I know that a lot of the gamers on Twitch do that, but my gosh. Y'all. I'm not even from the South, and I have to say, y'all. Whew, mercy. Mercy. Yeah, anyway. I will spend the next 20 minutes or longer when this is done coughing and clearing my throat, because you just never get a break. You know, it's like, can't have silence, can't have periods of silence. Oh, well, now that's better, don't you think? Don't you think that's better? It's funny. Debbie says, my husband and I got married. We decided that anything that happened on Monday, Thursday was his fault. Anything Friday through Sunday was yours, was mine, meaning Debbie's. Then we would laugh and not fight about stuff. That's good. Yeah, it is much better, isn't it? It needs red. Yeah, we'll go back in with colored pencils when this little puppy's dry. When it's fully dry, we'll come back in and see what we can do. Yeah, that is not my favorite, which tells me, that gives me a good heads up on these other ones to use something that has a lot more color. Don't go too pastel with these. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, they've got possibilities. They've got possibilities. Maybe we'll tint the corners here. Let's tint the corners with something. So I'm going to take this color and some of this color, and let's just see if we can make something that'll go with it but be a little different. Okay, let's tint the corner. Have to employ my 2-brush method, one to put color down and one to blend. Keep just looking at my monitor to see what you guys are seeing here. I have contact paper on my table surface, which I'm going to have to replace because it's about seeing better days here. I finally decided putting contact paper down was what I was going to try for my surface, just because it's something I could change, but it was something that would stick down. I've tried using drop papers and they just drive me, I love the effect, but it drives me crazy because it moves and it crunches, and yeah, it's kind of obnoxious. So also, the other thing about streaming or being on this side of the camera is that sometimes people will make comments about things I've said when I'm streaming, and I have to go, I don't even remember saying that. Yeah, I know, because you just start rambling and talking, and you know, whatever comes into your head, you're talking about it. So you forget because you're just jabbering on. Okay, now it's getting better. Just even that little bit helped. Yeah, it's getting better, but it definitely needs, this one is, I'm going to do colored pencil on. That's what I'm going to do on that one. Okay. All right, I'm just rinsing brushes out here, and I'm going to stop painting, but I've got a lot of paint here. See all this paint? Look at all that paint. So we're going to have to slap that in a journal, don't you think? Yeah. So let's see if we can find some pages let's find some pages. And we're going to just oops, wrong. Helps if we get the right remote control. That's what happens when you get too high tech. You just all of a sudden go, oh, I'm so confused. Why isn't this doing what it's supposed to do? Because you don't have the right thing. Okay, so let's use up some paint. So I am going to do my best to just use it up. Because these are just pages that are partially in progress, so all right. But this paint is interesting in that it is very transparent, you know, and that's interesting. Transparent's not right. Translucent. Translucent. You can see through it. You can often learn the most by not caring about the outcome. You know what I mean? Okay, so we've got some stuff, some of the paint used up, got a little stuff stuck in the background on that. We'll do this one. So let's do this page over here. I don't want to do the same colors, so let's use, oh, do we dare use salmon over here? I can always paint over it if I don't like it, right? Yeah, I can always paint over it. Deep breath, everybody. We're going to put salmon on this. Slap a little bit over on the other page. This is all in an attempt to use up paint. And you know, my philosophy about using up paint is there's always black gesso. There's always black gesso. I've used plenty of black gesso. I've used several containers of black gesso. I love black gesso because it covers a multitude of stuff that you don't ever want to look at again. All right. Move over a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm getting tired of doing this, so I'm just going to start using whatever. Before I was kind of being careful, now I'm not. But the thing about it is, if I start scraping this paint on, which is what I usually do, if I start scraping paint, this paint will go a long, long, long way. Charlie has clearly been in there as long as he can stand it. Can you hear him? He's got his face pressed up against the door. Okay, let's keep going. Yep, they have. I love me a good container of black gesso, people. If you don't have that, especially if you are a writing type journaler, you like to write, and if you're honest about your feelings, meaning you don't censor yourself or edit yourself when you journal, sometimes that means that you need to use black gesso to cover up the uglies. Literally. Cover up the uglies. Then you draw a nice big mandala over the top of it, and it becomes beautiful. Okay, so we've got some color on those pages. So I'm going to set this off because this is going to have to dry. And we'll go to another journal. The advantage to multiple journals in progress. So this one has had nothing but scraped paint on it. So let's add some of this. I don't know about you guys, but I always love watching somebody just play in a journal and not worry about the outcome. That is when some of the best things happen. It's also, when you get done with something like that, you know, playing in a journal like this, just slapping paint on here. When you get done, you go, oh, that's so cool. I wonder what I did. And you go, oh, I don't have a clue. No clue what I did. But that's when you have sometimes find the best things. And as long as you're not trying to replicate something for classes or for some other purpose, hey, the best thing you can do in the whole wide world is to play. So far, my new equipment doesn't have paint on it. I have a feeling that after today, that probably has changed. It didn't have paint on it until probably today. Okay, so we've got paint on that. That's a pretty good background. Okay, let's see if we can just kind of scrape some of this paint on here. Okay, good enough. Let's see if I got one more journal hanging out here somewhere. I can scrape. I'm almost to use up all this paint. Almost. See if I got any pages left in this one. It's right, customizing my equipment. That is right. Let's see, maybe this one. What's on the other side of this? Okay. I'll put that back on. All right, let's don't look at your stuff as being too precious, because if you start looking at things as being too precious, you won't play. Good enough. Okay. I've used up all of it except the brown, the gray, and the white. And those I can live without. And got backgrounds on a few more pages, so that's cool. All right. So one more quick little thing that I thought we would do here. Let me find a stamp. And then we're going to call it a day. So this is an old Stampin' Up! Stamp. It's an old Stampin' Up! Stamp from 1997. And I'm going to put a piece of paper behind it. Scrap paper. And I'm using Cobalt Archival ink. This one we're not going to do anything to because I'm going to use colored pencils on that. So we'll see. That has to dry really well. Okay, so controlled splatters. Okay, so we have a controlled splattery background. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I have been caught. Don't tell. Do not tell. You guys don't rat me out. Do not rat me out. First one who does is in trouble. So, everything has been going along swimmingly till just now, Race. Just now is when it decided it wasn't going to cooperate. Yeah. So, it's been going along swimmingly until just now when I tried to do the do. Craziness, I tell you. Okay, more controlled splatters. So that just gives it a little more texture and visual texture in the background. No, I haven't done anything. I know, I haven't done a thing. All right, so let's go back to this and just clean off the stamp. So I'm just cleaning off my stamp and adding a little more crud to the page. Okay, good enough. Okay. And then let's ink the edges. Yep, it is. It stuck. It stuck, Rays. It stuck. So just inking around the edge a little bit of cobalt. So we've splattered the background using a stamp. If you guys ever have a chance to find those, it comes in a set. It comes in a set with these. They're called itty bitty backgrounds. If you ever have a chance to find those, they're very helpful. Especially this one. In my opinion, this one and this one are the two most useful in that set. This one I'm not so crazy about because it's so even. This one is nice too, but these are my two favorites. So itty bitty backgrounds. I know. It's working, but it's stuck. Which means I won't be able to have the sponsor cam because, well, I can put them here and the camera can look down on them. Oh, we'll figure out something. It just won't be the typical sponsor shot. They are. Hi, Cheryl. They are good little stamps. They really are. I used to always use black ink when I went around the edges of things, but I've gotten to where I just really, really, really like the cobalt blue. It's just my preference. All right, so what we did today was we did these two. Okay, we did these two using the Garden Flower. Now that I know where to look. Tattered Angels, Mixed Media Origins, Mini Art. So we did those two. They're a little warpy. You can see they're warped a little bit, but those, my experience is they straighten out. And then we did one from the watercolor style. Okay, that's good. We'll chat later. And this is what we did, which needs a lot of help with colored pencils and pens and so forth. I'm not sure. It needs help. It needs help. We'll do something with it. And then a lot of backgrounds. We did a lot of backgrounds by just using up the leftover paint. All right. So I cannot change the shot to get to the sponsor cam because I'm now stuck on this shot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the sponsors out. Now, understand that you won't see them as you normally are used to seeing them, but I'm going to get them out. So prepare yourselves. I'm going to get the illegal fluids off the table so I don't get in more trouble. So I'll be right back. Ooh, you just barely made it out of there alive. I know. Yes, you just barely made it out alive, didn't you? I know. I know. Life is terrible when you're a sponsor of a show and you have to be silent and quiet and scooch back here so they can see your pretty face, okay? Can you look up there so they can see you? So you get to see him from a different perspective today because I don't have access to the other camera right now. Anyway, you know, that's just the way life is sometimes. It's the way life is sometimes, folks. All right, thanks so much for joining me. Charlie's on the floor coughing, and so we're going to leave him alone because there's nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. All right, thanks for being here with me, and it's great to see you guys. And you never know when I'll pop back on and we'll do some other sort of fun stream. Sometimes it's late at night. You just never know. Anyway, thanks everybody. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Remember to get creative today because you know it's easy. Charlie says he agreed with that. Did you hear him? I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye, everybody.